Good morning or good afternoon. I don't know where you live, unless I do. But we're making meatballs and red sauce from scratch. So I'm starting here with about a cup of breadcrumbs. And the key to some real Italian American meatballs is apparently, the word on the streets is soaking them in milk. Now, most meatball recipes, at least Italian American meatball recipes, will have you soak the breadcrumbs. Apparently, that's the, authentic way to do it. I don't know. I'm not Italian, but I did it, and it does make a difference. I'm not sure how it really affects, but it felt like the meatballs were a bit more cohesive. Here's me mixing with my finger because, well, I'm slightly disgusting. You're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes or so, and then I'm going in with a pound of ground pork and about a pound and a half of ground beef. Your meat selection matters, but it also really doesn't. If you're going for authenticity, you might want to use some veal, but you can just use ground beef if that's all you have, or just pork, or even sausage. Now we're going to dice up some add-ins. Garlic is really important to meatballs, I think. I think garlic's also important to everything, so I use a lot of it because, well, frankly, I absolutely love garlic. I think I used about 8 or so cloves, but use even more if you want some extra garlic, but get it real minced up, and then we're going to add it to the bowl with all of the ground meats. Meatballs are great. Meatballs are great because you can really do it however you want. If you don't like garlic, which who are you? But if you don't like garlic, you don't have to add it. I'm adding parsley. It looks really weird and they were kind of discolored, but I think it ended up okay. I just diced it, chopped it up real fine, and then threw it in the bowl just like the garlic. You can do a half cup, you can do a whole cup. It doesn't really matter, just use as much as you want. This is literally all the leaves I picked off of the bunch I bought. Now God's gift to humanity, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. This is probably the greatest thing on the planet outside of Nickelback. It's better than Nickelback. I used about a half cup, maybe a cup. I didn't really measure it too well. I think I actually used closer to a cup. Use however much cheese you want. Here's my breadcrumbs. They're soaked in milk. These were gluten-free breadcrumbs, so they're a little bit more absorbent. Your breadcrumbs, if they're regular, will probably have some milk at the top. You can just pour that off. And then I'm adding in 2 eggs on top of everything else, as well as some salt and pepper. Then you're just going to want to mix that real good. Now, I made a really big mistake here. And it was, the bowl was too dang small, so don't judge me on the mess you're about to see. This is disgusting. I know. You're handling raw meat anyways. It's gross. It's all over my counter. Listen, at some point, you just got to embrace that it's going to get disgusting and get everywhere. This is food safety at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Take notes. Take notes. But look at that. All mixed up. Time to ball them up. This made about 20, but I like mine pretty big. If you want them smaller, you can make them smaller. It don't really matter. I go ahead and smother them in a little bit of olive oil. Smother is a strong word. I drizzle some olive oil over them. And this is going to help them in the broiler because I do not bake them. You can fry them, but I choose to broil them. Now look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Set your broiler high and just throw them right in at a somewhat high position, but not the top rack. The broiler and the oil gives them that nice and crispy top that you like on a meatball, but without the giant pot of oil, because there's nothing more annoying to deal with in a home cook's kitchen than a giant pot of oil. Just keep an eye on them. It might take about 5-10 minutes, but once they develop that crust, just go ahead and flip them over. Be careful, they might be still a little bit undercooked, so they might be a little floppy and break. But throw them right back in the oven as soon as you get them all flipped over and do the same thing. Now look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the browning. Look at the oil popping. It's a beautiful sight to see, and they're just about done. Now I left mine purposely a little bit undercooked in the center. Not a lot, just a little bit, because I am going to simmer them in my sauce, which let's do. I'm using San Marzano whole tomatoes. There's a bunch of different brands, but this one tastes pretty good. And I'm also using a few cloves of garlic and a whole diced red bell pepper, red pepper flakes, and Italian seasoning. Now, you can use fresh herbs. I just don't really care because I didn't have any. Now, the bell pepper is the secret. I love bell peppers in a sauce. but get those tomatoes crushed up with your hands. Throw your pepper and your garlic in a pot with some oil and saute those up. Mix them up. Make sure they don't burn. Make sure it doesn't get too hot. You don't want it too hot yet. Just stir it up. Keep an eye on it. Once it gets nice and smelling good, you can go ahead and go in with your red pepper and your seasonings, your herbs, whatever you got. I like my red sauce a little more simple. Well, I guess I don't because I'm using a red bell pepper, but I think that's pretty simple. Seasonings in. I like red pepper flakes, but for some reason, there's nothing more spicy to me than a red pepper flake. I can do anything else, but red pepper always gets to me. And I like to toast the herbs and the seasonings up a little bit first, just so they can get a little more aromatic. I don't know if there's actual science to that, but it always ends up well for me, so maybe you should try it. Once your garlic and your pepper are real softened up, go ahead and throw in and mix in your tomatoes that you've mashed up with your hands. Give that a nice stir and basically just let it simmer for at least 30 minutes, but this can go for hours, and it'll keep extracting flavor as it goes. I'm adding in some salt and pepper to taste. Make sure you're tasting this as it goes so you can get it at the sweet spot of doneness. This has simmered for a good bit, and so personally I blend it because I don't like mine chunky. So here's it after it blended, and this came out really good. I threw my meatballs in the sauce, let it simmer with some pasta water, throw it on some pasta. Look at that. Look at that! Red gravy, baby! Red gravy! All right, but yeah, that's it. Give it a shot. It's not hard. I believe in you. And remember Parmesan cheese. Remember. All right, bye.